Welcome back to part 2 of the recap of Syracuse men's basketball. Orange Appeel Network, Roosevelt Bowie, Dale Shackelford. Rosie, went through the roster, went through the beginning of the season, middle portion of the season. We had some struggles up and down. Guys that had some injuries. Now we're down to the end of the season, ACC tournament, hoping to go far. We win that first game, and then boom, it slapped in the face. We got to play Duke.
Yeah.
Third time that this season. What do you think there?
Well, you know what? When I saw the day they had to play against Duke, I'm like, as I found out the older that I got, you don't want to run away from anybody. You want to jump right on the baddest guy out there and then let them know that you're here to play. Because that's the one thing about the tournament. You make everybody puts their shorts on the same way, and you make one mistake, and you're going home. So all it takes is somebody come out there, because they already know Zion had a phenomenal game, 13 for 13, and still there was a point during that game where a couple of shots, and it would have been a different outcome. So they already know that Syracuse went down to Duke and beat them down there. They can say whatever they want to say, but they got to beat at home.
Well, a win's a win, a loss is a loss. It still
Absolutely.
shows up on your record. And Syracuse played well. I think, they were up for a lot of games. They were in every game. And as you said before, a missed basket here, missed rebound there, missed opportunity here, turnover there, a couple foul shots.
Yep.
You're back in the ballgame. And the thing about it is that the team never gave up.
Exactly.
They never ever gave up. And we had guys come off the bench. We had guys come in and out of the game that had sparks. Pascal Chukwu, down the stretch, as he did last year, down the stretch this year, he got better.
Yeah.
He shot better. He rebounded better. He hustled. He blocked shots. You can't ask for anything more from a guy that hopefully he'll get that 6th year and he wants to come back to Syracuse. I don't know what the status is. I don't know what the situation is. It's just something that's out there, and if it's true or if it's not, he would be a valuable asset if he was granted that 6th year.
The funny you say that about Pascal and him coming on towards the end of the season. I actually went by the basketball office and I talked to Alan Griffin, who works with the big man, and he was saying that he's very good at motivating people, and he said I think Pascal's got he's going to step up, got another little push going towards the end of the season. I think we can get that out of him because he's done it each year, so we're looking forward to getting that out of him. And he said, we talked about a couple things that would be beneficial for them to do. And I remember the one thing that I mentioned to them was, tell your big guys, when you're trying to get position, you're not just trying to get position to get the ball, you're trying to get position to make your man play behind you and push him as close to the basket as possible, because you're setting yourself up to get a rebound. If you just call for the ball passively and you're 10, 12 feet from the basket, you don't get the ball, the shot's taken, you're in a tough position to get a rebound. But if you pretend like you're trying to get the ball, there's not too many balls coming on the inside, but they don't know it. I got to make you think that I'm trying to get the ball every time. Then that takes you off your game, takes you out of position a little bit, makes you push a little bit, get too far to the basket, and then Pascal is like 7'19", he just puts his hand up, catches it, and does it. So.
Well, if it was his last hurrah, or him showing that if there is an opportunity to come back next year, he's going to be ready. He's learned a lot since he's been here at Syracuse. He's improved a lot every year that he's been here at Syracuse. There's been some situations where, I think we all thought that he could play better. But we have to understand, Syracuse's offense doesn't go through the center position.
Different job.
The center has to work a little bit harder on the offensive end to be productive offensively, other than getting offensive rebounds.
Right.
Hopefully getting fouled when you do have the ball in the act of shooting. So those things are something that we as fans looking at the game don't really understand. by watching the game, Syracuse offense is not geared up for the big men. And all the centers that we had, Pascal, Spive, they worked hard when they did get the ball, and they did make valid efforts to be productive on the offensive end for the team.
Yeah, and there's one thing that I want to make sure that everybody understands. When a lot of people have come to me and said, Pascal Chukwu he's got bad hands. Do you think it's easier to catch a bounce pass when you stand on the floor, or to go up and get an alley-oop 14 feet from the basket and dunk it on a dead run? It's definitely easier to catch a bounce pass. What people fail to realize is, as a center, when I see the ball about to be bounced passed into another big man, the first thing I do, show the referee my hands, and then I hip check that guy forward about 2 feet. So what ends up happening is, it's not that he can't catch the ball, is when he goes to catch the ball, I push him on top of it. It hits his knee, it hits his hand, he doesn't have a chance to catch it. It's not that he can't catch the ball, it's that he's not holding his position. So keep in mind, when you see a guy not able to control the ball when it's thrown to him, it's not because he has bad hands, it's because the guy behind him is stronger and pushed him forward. So to get the bounce pass, you gotta hold that position. But I go back, it makes me think again, if you know your teammate and you know that if you throw the alley-oop perfect, only where he can only get it, he'll catch it, dunk it. You throw the bounce pass, he doesn't catch it. If after 20 games you still throw the bounce pass,
That's your fault, not his fault.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Ty's battle gets hurt. He's out for 2 games. ACC tournament. You know, the first game we played well without him. Same game, you know, we were still in the game, but you know, we struggled a bit. The experience, I think, came into that game because some of the young guys had to play more. Some of the young guys were expected to do more.
Yeah.
And we just weren't mentally ready, you know, for that second or third game against Duke. And I think that, you know, they're all young.
Sure.
They're young men. It was a great learning experience. Next year, they've got a few games under their belt. We've got a decent group of guys coming back next year, but let's not jump too far ahead.
Okay.
NCAA tournament, Baylor. We're an 8 seed, they're a 9 seed.
Yeah.
Overconfident maybe, underachieving, yes. We had opportunities there that we didn't take advantage of. Poor shooting.
Well,
Defense wasn't that great.
you know, the one thing that makes me comes to mind is we had my coach in Italy. He was what he was very big on. He was very, very big on consistency. Practice the same way you play in a game. We had a situation that was one way before that game, and it happened that Frank Howard couldn't play. We talked about it all year. The team gets its chemistry, it understands where the ball's supposed to go, everybody's falling into place, and then you take that player out of the game. It seems like it wouldn't be you have other players on the floor, but the chemistry of this team wins because of their chemistry, because they're able to play off each other, because they understand when during this time of the game that we got to get an offensive rebound, we've got to play good defense, we got to get a steal. So you take out a player that they've been depending on in that rotation, and it does create a problem. You know, you can overcome that problem, but during you're in the NCAA tournament, how much time do you have to overcome that problem?
Well, it's not a long time to prepare. I mean, ACC tournament finishes on Saturday. You're playing Thursday. 4 days in between. You're playing a team that you're not used to seeing in your conference. You don't see them that much on TV. Part of the game. Good scouting reports, mental preparation. we've played the game long enough. We've got to understand every situation is different, and we got to pay attention to detail. Not that the guys didn't.
Yeah.
We just the motor skills are different. Okay, they played in Utah, Salt Lake City. The air is different. I never believed in that. You go into a place, you go to play. We played down in New Mexico when we were in college. The air is supposed to be different down there. We ran man-to-man full court for 40 minutes. Yeah. At the end of the game, I wasn't tired. I just, was happy that we got through that first one and looked forward to the second one. And then by the time we played the second one against New Mexico, the home team, both teams run the full court. First 6 baskets in the game were dunks. Yeah. Guys are blocking guys' shots, guys are jumping out of the gym. The energy gets the oxygen flowing. And you got to build that energy in those type of games in order to maintain and to be able to compete in those games.
It's funny you say that because I remember O'Shea Brissett. He said it best. He said, "We have to understand that when we walk on the court, we have to play with a sense of urgency." And it was never better said because, especially during the NCAA tournament, playing as a professional, I won a European championship. But the one thing that I really learned is playing in the European championship is it's a 5-game to get into the finals. 5-game best out of 5 series. Before that, in the other rounds, it's best out of 3 series. When you play the best out of 3 games, more than likely the best team won. You play the best out of 5 games, the best team won. You play single elimination, the best prepared team wins.
Best team on that day.
On that day. And
That's
you
right.
got
That's
one
right.
day.
That's why they call it, 1-game elimination, one and done, however you want to put it. But, you have to be ready. Good nucleus coming back next year. Unfortunately, Ty's Battles decided to test the waters of the NBA. He made it official that he's leaving. Any views on that?
Well, between the two of us, we got 30 something years playing professionally abroad. The biggest thing that to help you understand the concept, playing at Syracuse University, Ty's Battle scores 2 points in the first half, and he scores 20 in the second half. The papers say, "Wow, Ty's came on strong in the second half, scored 20 points." If you're a professional, they say, "Hey, 2 points in the first half, what were you doing? If you can score 20 in the second half, you can score 20 in the first half." You have to produce the whole mentality. You're playing for Syracuse University fans. If you're running down the floor and you trip and fall, they'll be like, "Dale, did you see the way Tyus fell down? He just rolled. He looked great." But become a professional, they're like, "What did he fall over?" It's the whole mentality. I think the greatest years of your life are playing at the university because you'll have the greatest fans. They're all going to school with you. Your coaches went out and sought you to bring you in, promised your parents they're going to take good care of you. They've taken that responsibility. And then I'll never forget, I got off the plane in Italy, and I met the president and the GM. They shook my hand. They gave me the keys to a Mercedes, the keys to an apartment down on the Adriatic, and said the gym is down there, and one practice schedule, one game schedule, and the gym is right down there. Shook my hand and walked away. Nobody ever called me. Nobody came knock on the door. Nobody ever came to look for me. It was my job as a paid professional to figure this stuff out. Oh, did I mention it was in another country and they spoke a different language? So you really got to grow fast. So it'll be an eye-opening experience.
Well, you got we tend to be spoiled in a way to where everything's written out for you, everything's drawn up for you. Your day-to-day schedule and everything. But we want to be treated as adults. This is the best opportunity when you go to college, to grow up fast. O'Shea Brissett apparently didn't sign with an agent, wants to test the waters of the NBA. Could be the same as Tyus Battle did last year. Me personally, sure. if you have that much confidence in yourself, give it a shot, see what it's going to be like. Hopefully, if you do well there, you'll get drafted high enough to where they're going to keep you in the league. If not, apply that to your experience your next year in college.
Yeah, see, I was more worried about O'Shea skipping out after the first year because, you know, he had the thing about O'Shea is he's a phenomenal rebounder. He's a very strong rebounder. Him taking the chance to go try out for, you know, to go to test the waters with the NBA. Look, you're going to be going up there looking at, you're going to be coached by players, coached by coaches that know what they're looking for and can tell you what you should work on. I remember talking to Coach Boeheim and him saying that, yeah, you know, Ty's tested the waters and came back, and the coaches told the same thing that we told them.
Right.
So sometimes you just need to have it reinforced. And by Ty's coming back, he worked. He was put in a situation where he had to play point guard. Now, and he's a very strong offensive player, but as a point guard, you know, he dribbles the ball. What people don't realize, he's like a freak of nature. He can jump out of the gym. He's very strong with the dribble, very powerful attacking the basket. So what's going to happen is O'Shea Brissett is going to go out there and he's going to test his abilities against other players also, because remember, you know, we both went to Italy and we played that summer, and we got to play against guys that were actually professionals, and we got to see where we fit in on the food chain. Then when he came back, we're like, man, you know, we did pretty good. It kind of gives you a little boost, a little motivation to work and take your game to the next level.
Well, you know, I wish them all the best, both of them. We touched on you know, Pascal a little bit. You know, I wish him all the best. I mean, whatever he does, you know, if he's granted a 6th year, he'll come back to Syracuse and you know, help them for next season. But you know, we've got Curry coming back, Buddy Boeheim's coming back, O'Shea Brissett is a question mark. We've got Elijah Hughes, Sabibe, Dozier, Braswell. You know, we've got a good nucleus of guys coming back, and we've got you know, 4 talented recruits coming in this year, which you know, Syracuse hasn't had a recruiting class like this in a long time.
Yeah, the one thing that jumps out at me is got this young man, Joseph. He can shoot the ball pretty well, they say.
Well, you know, they got him down as a combo guard. That means he's a combination of a jump shooter and a combination of a scorer. You know, the kid can light it up. You know, he averaged about 50 points a game in high school. He's made some clutch shots to, you know, win games for his high school teams. He was an excellent quarterback on his high school football team. He's a strong, physical young man. Hopefully, you know, he can add something to, you know, Syracuse's offensive strength next year.
I tell you, you know, watching him go through the sectionals, I was like, can we just pull him over and have him start playing in the tournament? You talk about just that water, instant offense. That's going to be very
well,
interesting.
It's been interesting to see with him and you know, Buddy Boeheim, one on each side of the floor. You know, we've got good ball movement. We got excellent shooters. There's no more denying one and leaving the other one open. You know, shades of when Jerry McNamara was here with Carmelo,
Big guy.
Akeem Warwick.
Yeah, it's going to give a lot of room for them to work.
You know, that trio played very well together.
Yeah.
And you know, if you concentrated on one, the other one produced. And I think that, you know, this is going to be one of those interesting seasons for us next year. Also, we have a John Bolek, Ajak, a 6'10" center.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, we get a big man in there, and we've got to, you know, change our offensive strategy. Maybe this is the time to do that. That you know, we're going to have a big man that can possibly score.
Well, this is, you know, just thinking about it, you know, 6'10", big guy, just for what you just said, you're going to have some bona fide scorers on the wings. You're not going to be able to double team. You're not going to be able to slip down. That's going to leave a lot of one-on-one play from the big man position. So if he understands that, and he'll be prepared by the coaching staff, they're not, as I've always said, Coach Boeheim never told anybody to get me the ball. But I felt that if I beat my man down under the basket and get wide open 2 inches from the basket, common sense dictates that they're going to try to throw the ball to me. Because you can't complain about it, you got to be about it. Go out there and get the work done. And the one thing that I always wanted to do is to play one-on-one, which in my career never happened. I was always double-teamed and sometimes triple-teamed in the low post. They can't do that with this Syracuse team. You try to double-team or triple-team, that means you've got Joe standing out there with a scope testing the wind, see which way the wind's blowing. You've got Buddy over there. He's like, well, if you can't do it, I can do it. And the floor's going to be spread out, and there's going to be a lot of space for big man to work one-on-one. And if you can do that, there's an old saying, if you can start with your foot in the paint, then you should finish with either a basket and a foul, or definitely get the foul.
Well, we tend to like you know, guys north of the border. I think it all started with Leo Rollins.
Yeah.
We had Joseph. We had Brissett.
Yep.
Now we got Quincy Guerrero, another Canadian, excellent ball player, 6'7", small forward, maybe a combo guard.
Well,
You know, we're looking, as you know, as we do usual. You know, we're staying lean with our height, our length, and with guys that can get up and down the floor pretty well.
Well, you know, the thing that you mentioned Leo Rollins. Leo played with, he actually practiced with us, and I actually played with Leo in Spain. And godfather of his oldest son, Michael, because Mike was born in Rome. So I know Leo very well. So coming back home, Leo used to always take us up to play against the Canadian national team, which you get a bunch of guys up here in Syracuse. We drive up and we meet them north of the border there. And we play. And when I got up there, I was like, they called themselves the brothers. And I get up there, I'm like, it's kind of bright in here. And they played a basketball that I never realized they played, I understand what they're talking about, they played like brothers. You couldn't pick one guy out of the group and focus on, because if you tried to lock up one guy, two guys would backpick for you. They stood up for one another, they played hard, and they liked playing basketball, and Leo kind of opened that door getting down here into the States, and their quality of play. Leo became the head coach of the Canadian national team a few years back for 4 or 5 years. So he used to bring me up all the time to work with the big men. And he told me all the time, and I didn't believe it until I got up there, there are more 7-footers walking around in Toronto. And I think I even saw some girls that are like 6'4", 6'3", 6'4". So those players are out there, and compliments to Syracuse for going up there and finding a way to get them into the university.
Well, you know, Canada is not much different than the United States. You're a country of multicultures, and you know they've got a lot of people from Europe,
Sure.
a lot of people from Asia, and Australia.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're breeding good talent from all over the world. I mean, people are traveling all over the world with you know, their jobs, their businesses, and you know, these kids are falling in love with the game, and they're playing the game. They're working hard at the game. You know, European basketball has come a long way. We've got a big influx of European players throughout the United States in every level. If it's on you know, high school level, the prep schools or even your college level, and even the NBA has shown that Europeans are proven that they are very good basketball players.
I just remember seeing like when I first went to Italy, all the guys that came over were big men, and for probably 5 to 6 years, we just had our way over there. We just beat them into submission. By year 6, year 7, year 8, they weren't bringing over so many big men. They started bringing over small forwards and guards because the Italian big men had already got used to playing. You've got Gallinari that's playing in the NBA now. I played against his dad for 15 years. We were arch rivals. We couldn't stand one another. And then I go down to see Andy Rollins playing for the Knicks. I walk in the gym. His son's playing for the Knicks. He comes over, gives me a big bear hug, and I was like, "Never hit him too hard one time." But
son's trying to crush you.
Once you go through the battle of these kids, they weren't afraid to play against the big men, so they started bringing over guards. So the level of basketball for the big men in Italy went up tremendously in 5 years, and then 5 years after that, the level of the guards, you start seeing the big guards coming out of Italy. So any place where they're playing basketball around the globe and they're playing against American players, because frankly, American players are the best around the world, and I say that because we have the best coaches also. It's that simple.
And last but not least, these are guys that we've already signed. Bryson Gooding, he's a shooting guard out of St. Andrews, PA. Another good player. I think we've got 4 very good freshmen coming in next year. What their playing time and what their playing ability would be like if they stay healthy, if they work hard. Depends on what coach is looking for. Depends on what we have back out of the nucleus of the team that we had from this past season. And we have to understand something. There's still kids out there that haven't signed yet. They're looking for places to go. There's still transfers out there that are looking to go somewhere else. So there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of players out there that can still decide they want to come to Syracuse. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, keep all these guys in mind, look forward to a great season next season, and hopefully we'll make Syracuse fans happy when you come out to watch Syracuse every game next season.
Well, the other thing that we can take, that you got to remember that all these kids are going to be coming in early, so we can sneak in there and see it, get a preview of their first practice, their first workouts. We won't tell anybody. We'll just give you a little inside information.